Hi everyone, welcome back. And today we are going to be looking at life insurance for people with pre-existing conditions. So Dan, first off, what is a pre-existing condition?
So a pre-existing medical condition can be anything. Obviously, the common pre-existing conditions that we deal with, diabetes is probably number one in terms of the types of conditions that people apply for life insurance with. There's around 4 or 5 million people with diabetes in the UK currently, so it is, and it's a prevalent condition. So we see that a lot. Even things like being overweight and having high BMI, that can be classed as a pre-existing medical condition. It might seem odd, but obviously there are medical complications that can be linked with obesity, high BMI, depending on what the level is. There's also your more severe, serious pre-existing medical conditions, so cancers, heart attack, stroke, neurological conditions, which will include things like multiple sclerosis, epilepsy. You've also got blood disorders, autoimmune disorders. So there's tons, there's absolutely tons. There's literally thousands of different types of pre-existing medical conditions that can affect life insurance.
Okay, so say I am someone that is classified as having a pre-existing condition.
Yep.
How would that impact me being able to get life insurance?
It really does depend on your symptoms, the severity of the condition itself, how long you've had it, so when were you diagnosed with the particular condition. Also, there's various other things like, have you had any complications? So again, going back to diabetes, some of the common complications is things like neuropathy, retinopathy, nephropathy, what your HbA1c reading is, and all those combined will basically give you an outcome as to whether life insurance is available, which it usually is, and how much does it cost.
Okay, and if I have a pre-existing condition, is it going to cost me more to get life insurance?
Generally, the answer is unfortunately yes. The reason being, and again, we get asked a lot about this one. The reason is that it's called mortality risk. So the mortality risk is higher. So the risk of you dying within the term of the policy is generally going to be classed as higher if you have a pre-existing medical condition. Now, I won't go into the subject of whether that's fair or not fair, because obviously there's loads and loads of different arguments to that. And ultimately what we want to do is make sure that you yourself have got the best cover to protect your kids, regardless of what your health is, and ultimately that you're paying the lowest premium for that cover. And what you've got to understand here is that there's loads of different life insurance companies in the UK, and they all have different attitude towards different medical conditions. So somebody may be able to get cheaper cover from one insurer compared to another based on what their health is or what their medical history is. So there may be situations where, for example, Legal and General might be cheaper for somebody than Aviva, for example, or it might be that Zurich is cheaper than Vitality, but it's based on what their criteria is for that particular medical condition.
So you need to get advice.
You do, definitely.
Okay. It's a really sensitive subject. If I've got a pre-existing condition, it may be something I'm not comfortable talking about. It could be that I've applied for life insurance previously and it's been declined. What would you suggest?
So it's a really difficult one, and there's also things like mental health that we deal with a lot. We see a lot where people, especially now, are applying for life insurance where they've had either mental health treatment, so counselling services, things like medication for stress, depression, anxiety, those sorts of kind of slightly more common medical conditions. Now, if I think back 20, 30 years ago, nobody was really talking about mental health, certainly not to the level and degree that they are now. And now we're seeing a lot more, I suppose, a lot less taboo around talking around mental health conditions. So we're seeing a lot more disclosures now for people with mental health. And, ultimately that's right. It shouldn't be a bad subject to talk about. It shouldn't be a taboo subject. It should be something that obviously we're able to talk to people about. Around life insurance, obviously it's difficult because you don't really want to be talking about sensitive mental health problems or sensitive mental health conditions with an advisor that you've never really spoken to. But in realistic terms, unfortunately, you're going to have to do that.
Yeah, okay, that's great. And we have so much more information on the website, Money People Online, if you want to take a look. We know it's a sensitive subject, but please get the advice and get the cover that you need. If you've got any questions, then just drop the comments under the video.